Hey guys, thank you so much and welcome to the Game Your Future podcast. I'm Daniel, and this podcast is all about helping gamers realize their full potential. So, with us today, we have another very special guest. This is Jeremiah Stewart, and Jeremiah is a counselor, a school counselor in the New York area. So, Jeremiah, thanks so much and welcome. How are you?
Yeah, things are going well. It's Columbus Day today, so I have the day off, which feels like a vacation to some, but not really. It's like a recovery day for most people in education. But things are doing good, and I plan on playing some nice games in just a little bit. Enjoying myself when I can,
Absolutely.
when the kids aren't.
Yeah. And the oh gosh, and just being able to enjoy games and just kind of unwind and just kind of de-stress, I think is just a great use of gaming. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about your background, kind of your gamer journey, and kind of where life has led you as a result. So can you share with us kind of like how long have you been a gamer? What kind of games do you enjoy?
So mine is sort of a mixed bag. Like I grew up in a house with we didn't have any game consoles in my house. Though we did have the original Game Boy, and then I had a Game Boy Color that I honestly played for 20 years. Um, like I didn't sell that sucker until after I got married. I'm like, maybe I need money. Um, and it's the purple one, 20 years. And we had a computer though. Our original computer was one of those DOS machines with like 92 megabytes of memory that ran everything on MS DOS and playing like side scrollers like Duke Nukem when it was a side scroller before it got Duke Nukem 3D'd. Commander Keen. Um, Played a lot of those games. We had Wolfenstein 3D, but we got in trouble with that one, which we found out all the codes and made it slow motion, only knives, blood everywhere.
Yeah.
Parents will freak out at that one. I grew up playing games like that. And then once, Windows was there, honestly, I did homeschool for a while in my younger years, and I did Age of Empires as my history class. Just, convinced my
That's
parents that was
awesome.
perfect. And it's better than some. And so I played a lot of Age of Empires and then like Warcraft 2. Um, and then, of course, friends with their Nintendo 64s with GoldenEye. And I remember the first time I ever beat a game before my friends that he owned was, I think it was like 007 Nightfire on the GameCube. And I felt so happy that I finally beat a game that he owned before he beat it. Um,
That's great.
and then in college is when I got most of my game systems, starting with a Wii that I just bought off a roommate, and now PS4, PS5. Never. Wait, that's much. I have owned an Xbox, but not for very long. I think I gave it to someone because there's like died like a horrible death, and like here, have this one. I did have it long enough to realize that KOTOR 2 had a glitch on Xbox that was just so annoying. You
Oh
can get
no.
stuck where the huts are and never get out if you didn't do something first, and they didn't tell you to do that thing first. It was a glitch that they fixed on PC, so I've beaten it on PC. And then now I play mostly PS5 and Switch. I do have my PCs I played games on for years, but usually if I'm sitting at a computer, I kind of see it as work,
Hmm.
and so the Switch is for bed, the PS5 is for the living room, and then phones are for filling in the gaps. And my kids all play games now, and I even play games with students sometimes.
Very cool. So yeah, definitely want to move into that discussion. So definitely kind of like myself, like seasoned gamer, right? So been around, definitely played a lot. For those watching, you can see the Nintendo, the original. That's my original Nintendo, sitting there on my shelf too. So absolutely love kind of the history of gaming, and so getting in kind of the school counselor kind of situation and being able to kind of share and you know, play games with the fellow students there. So tell us a little bit about that kind of, I guess, kind of starting at the beginning, like why school counseling? I think is always a fun question. Why go to the path that you did?
So I went to college and graduated with a human development degree. Unsure what I was going to do with it, and I worked in the children's unit of a mental hospital, like the end of line type place. And in hospitals, you will see hospitals have Wii's everywhere. They're just the most hospital care centric system that's ever existed. And they still have Wii's. They have now replaced them with PlayStations. They still have a Wii, because they are very good at getting people to move and interacting and so on. That's why it was so successful. And I, got annoyed at that time with the games that kids had access to. And so, like, I would just buy games and bring them to the unit and give them to the unit and play with them. None of them were like amazing, like The Blob, or like Tron Battle Grids. I think there's another one. Just games that I to enjoy with them that didn't cost me too much and just have fun. And after being there for a few years and just realizing like how much help this could be, and also that I didn't want to necessarily work at like the end of line type place for kids because it's kind of depressing.
Yeah.
When you're working at a place full of mentally ill kids who have been traumatized, and a lot of the time, like their parents just leave them,
Mm.
sometimes repeatedly, and it's sad. And so I wanted to work with schools, and so I went back to school and got a degree counselor. And one of my first schools that I worked at for about 6 years. An organization that runs one of the esports league reached out, asked if we wanted to do it, and so I organized an esports team at my middle school for the MSEL Middle School Esports League. I can't remember what the organization that's under right this second. They're gonna growl at me probably if you're like, why don't you remember it? But we ran an esports team with where I lived, and I lived where like the Navajo reservation is. So a lot of these kids can't really have internet and play games at home as much. And so we play games 3 days a week and compete. Making it to the playoffs probably 4 or 5 times. There's 3 seasons a year, probably 4 or 5 times over 3 years. Top 8 finish one year in like Brawlhalla, which was really good because there's like 4,000 people in that league when they compete.
Wow.
So a top 8, pretty good. And mostly we played Rocket League because it's free and everyone can play it. And we had to rely on like GeForce Now for most of our playing because you can't really install that game on a school computer. Uh,
Probably
and
frowned
out of
upon,
school
right? Yeah.
and out of school computers can't really connect to the Wi-Fi very well. And so we had that. We tried getting him to get into the Fortnite competitions and Apex, but that got a little more complex because it's more demanding and a little more skill based than they allow. But we did have some success with that one. It's usually box fights when you do competition. If you know Fortnite lingo, box fights is pretty much all the competition they do. Um, but then when I left there, now I live in New York and I work at a mental hospital again, but a school side. So I haven't figured out how to do it yet here because of HIPAA. I can't really like use kids' names in competition. But when you do
Yeah.
esports, if you're under 13, you can't use their name anyway.
Mm.
And there's like when you play it, when they're playing, you have like a chat thing where you both teams log in and sync into each other. And then the coaches usually chat with each other. Like if someone has to go to the bathroom, you know to pause before the round because like in Rocket League, it's 3 matches. Brawlhalla, it's best out of 3. That way you can pause and so on. And we don't use names there. The coaches just chat in there. No one does any trash talking because that's strictly forbidden. No one's on a mic. So I think I can make it work. I just got to figure out how with firewalls and all that. But yeah, so I coached that for a few years, and now I have 3 kids, and they're getting old enough where they can enjoy games without me doing it for them. Like my oldest probably is on Roblox right now playing Blocks Fruits because that's the only game he wants to play versus a game I actually buy. And even the youngest, he doesn't necessarily play, but he watches me play and has me build him stuff in like Minecraft where I play Rocket Racing. And he watches that, and we all like to play, even though it's different games that we all enjoy. So much so that we all use the same account on my PlayStation, and friends know when it's me and when it's my kids. And they're like, "Can your kid get on? Because I see it's not him." About what we're playing, and so that's how things are. Even my wife, who didn't grow up playing video games, I might have been like, "Here, try Animal Crossing or Hyrule Warriors or Fire Emblem," and then 1,000 hours later in Fire Emblem, please try a different Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem's,
Even
yeah, you can get yourself lost in Fire Emblem for sure.
I had to buy a second Switch just because my spouse was like, "This Switch is never leaving."
Well, this is mine now.
Yeah,
But that's great.
and it's
So,
fun.
wanted to ask a little bit more on the school side. So fantastic what you're doing. So, and I guess because that's kind of like near and dear to me too, is like as far as like sharing the passion of gaming with others, and especially like the students. What have you noticed about like when you're sharing that kind of stuff, like kind of their reactions and kind of how do you see that helping them? Because I want to make sure to for those listening and kind of getting the message out there, be like, why share video games? with the students? Like, what is that helping, or what is that improving? I would love your take on that.
So, I'll just go directly how it relates with esports. There's two responses. One is either the teachers and students that go, "Ha," as if you're actually competing. It's not even a sport. Um, there's not even any rules. You're just sitting there playing video games and getting paid for it, which I was. Um, and then the actual competition side, like when you play a lot of video games, there's a lot of toxic people online who trash talk. And as my kids have been banned on Roblox multiple times, they're not innocent in this. Um, but when it comes to like esports, there's enough rules with it that like not only is it very competitive, but they're also very like fun to play with, and these teams are fun to talk with. There's no smack talk in the thing beyond maybe "let's go," something like that. And it's just fun to see these kids compete and have good relations. Like there'll be teams that we'd play like multiple times, and they'd be happy to see us and say hi. Like we're gonna try to counter this thing this time in Rocket League. We're gonna do, and it's fun to actually compete and to play with each other in a way that's not like anger inducing or frustrating beyond the game itself. Maybe there'll be network issues, which if you've done GeForce now, there can be network issues.
Oh
You're
yeah.
streaming a game. But it's always amazing how people would be like, wait, you're playing these games on Chromebooks? Yep, we're playing them all on Chromebooks. And they'd be amazed because like you should not play games on Chromebooks. Don't play games on Chromebooks if you can help it.
Yeah.
But that's like, kids being able to come in and be themselves. And then when we'd win, being able to show it off to people who'd be like, what we only care about is football here. I'm like, no, but these kids beat 4,000 teams to place in the top so and so. They're in the playoffs. We'd be there at like 7 o'clock at night and they're like, who are you playing? We're playing a team from Georgia. Oh, we're playing a team from Puerto Rico. Oh. And it was just a lot of fun to just be able to share that with them and explain to their family like the accomplishments they're having and how good it is. It's sometimes it took a lot because family like, well, he's just playing Fortnite. I'm like, yeah, but he's playing Fortnite against others in competition. And it's just a really positive experience when it comes to gaming. There is limits to it. They're never going to do like middle school level esports with like Call of Duty for both rating and you have to have a lot of competitors, and that thing's going to melt most
Yep.
computers. Um, and some people just don't want to do it when like your choices are like Sonic Racing and Mario Kart for racers. I think Rocket Racing's added now because it is free and pretty easy to do, but you have to be able to provide like private lobbies and so on. But if you can find people who really want to compete and learn the games, like none of my kids had ever played Brawlhalla ever.
Mm.
They ended up playing it and loving it. It just gives them something positive to do, and school's tough enough. Let them enjoy something while they're there. And if it's games, so be it. It's fun.
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenges I've seen with kind of the school system too, is that it's just I almost hesitate to use the word factory, right? It's almost this like we're going to make the kids this quote well rounded as much as we pretend it is, but just like we're going to put you into this assembly line, you're going to come out a graduated student, you're going to have all this knowledge, great, now you can go out into the world. It's like, okay, but it's still an experience. Like you don't have to just be stuck in classes and just kind of bored to tears, like trying to do the work the whole time. Like having kind of something, whether it's the sports, the arts, there's other things you can do, right? And just the hobbies alone is just huge to me. And so like these kind of extracurricular activities, so I love having gaming as one of those, because I think there is people that are they're more apt to like that, they want to do like the football, like there's more people interested in kind of the sports and that kind of stuff and more physical things. And then you have like growing up, right, I grew up, it was like you had like the chess club. It's like, all right, this is kind of one of the more nerdy ones. It's like, well, all that is just an extension of gaming. So and then had kind of like a computer science kind of club, which kind of turned mostly into a gaming kind of thing, because you're like, all right, well, what are we going to do with computers and technology? Well, the best thing is to play games and have fun. Right.
Yeah, we're turning to a StarCraft LAN party back in the day.
Yes. And that's what like the modern generation, like how many people even understand what a LAN party is anymore, right? Like because what
Yeah,
is
and honestly, when it comes to like sports and clubs, the whole point is a pro social experience to get you out there, meeting other people, competing with other people, and learning skills about yourself and learning how to work with teamwork and so on. there are some people that claim that all football is to get scholarships, and so if you don't have people getting it, what's the point of having football? That's not the point of sports. Like, the point is to socially learn and grow, and esports does the same thing.
Yeah.
The biggest struggle would be, network size, which is a struggle. Firewalls, because if you unblock it for some people, then what if they're in the middle of class and they're like, I am now playing Fortnite on my computer, which was a struggle, and we had to fight with that a bit. So they time walled it, white walled it occasionally, but it's a social thing that helps them learn and grow, and helps them just to work with other people in ways they never did. Like most where I lived at that time, those kids lived on a reservation. They never left. Like some of them
Yeah.
had never left. I lived in Arizona, never left Arizona, and I lived quite literally 5 minutes from the border of Utah, and they had never left. And a lot of them are never going to leave. And so it gives them a chance to interact with people from other states and other places with a shared passion of, oh, look, we did this and it was fun. Oh, look, I competed with, there was a team who, quite literally all of them would try to, whenever they were in the chat, they try to sync themselves up to try to mimic each other. We called them the mimics, because they just like all say the same thing at the same time, and we thought they were all bots. They weren't. They just did that to mess with people. But we always knew when they showed up because it was fun. And we created in relationships with schools. Like when I lived in Arizona, there was a school from New York that we created a relationship with, that like when we didn't have competitions, we'd scrimmage with each other, because it was more fun to scrimmage with each other than it was just to practice. And so we'd even scrimmage on games we weren't even doing, like Smash Brothers and so on. And it was just fun, as we learned, like, holy cow, you can do that with with Steve from Minecraft. I did not know you could do that, and that's terrifying. Um, and
Love that game.
it just makes it fun, and gives you something that you can be proud of while you're at school. Because some of the kids, while it's a factory, some of them don't have the same levels they're going to reach as others, and just give them something. Give them something. And I remember when FNAF came out, the movie,
Mm.
we would mess with the school. Like we did a prank where we talked to the principal to make sure the principal's okay with it. So what we did is the day after FNAF came out, we got on the speaker just before school started and had her flip the lights off in the school for a bit, and then we started playing the FNAF song over the loudspeaker, and just hearing people yelp and scream in the hallway before the lights turned back on was glorious. And
That
they got to do it
sounds
because they
fun.
had to explain why that would work and how it would be fun. And the principal's like, I don't get it, but it didn't hurt anyone. I'm like, nope.
Nope.
Do,
But people
do,
loved
do,
it.
And the thing people yelp over that, I'm like, that was fun.
That's cool. And it's just those kind of fun, and like the harmless part. I do enjoy kind of the harmless part. Like nobody got hurt, everything's fine. But and just being able to share that kind of passion, I think is so fun. And you mentioned like one thing I think is very important. I wanted to make sure we touch on is that sense of achievement, right? That sense of accomplishment, and giving the kids something that they can say like, look, I did that, right? Because I don't say that there's never I don't think you can have too much like positive reinforcement. Like you're doing these good things, you're getting this sense of achievement and rewarding that, and really like pushing on that to say like, look at what your effort can do, right? And so it doesn't have to just be schoolwork, like you said, like even something fun like video games you can get good at. And like I said, on this channel, this podcast, I'm all about that. It's you're gonna learn these kind of skills through gaming, whether it's game specific, right? Because and I like to say that everybody has problem solving skills because they play games, right? And then just even like what you're saying, just even the kind of the social aspect of it, because the stereotype, right, is gamers, well, they're all socially awkward, they don't interface with anybody. It's like, well, what a perfect avenue that you've created to say like, well, look, I'm going to bring them together, they're going to interact, they're going to make friends, they're going to not be socially awkward because they're going to be hanging out together, right? And this kind of like after school club, if you will.
And we did, the main ones we did was Rocket League 3v3, and your team is 5 people. So you have 2 subs, and you usually have a captain in there. And just seeing, like, I had it set up where I had 2, we'd have TV and we'd have two projectors set up so we can see everyone playing, and just seeing like a middle school kid as a team captain going around looking at screens, giving instructions to people as they go when he's not playing, or just like sitting there by pulling in subs between rounds and actually giving those shifts and twists is really nice. Like they took charge. I didn't have. I was pretty much there to supervise and make sure that the chat stayed clean and that the coaches talked to each other, so in case there wasn't any issues, and to make sure the network did not die. And the seeing kids, stand up like Rocket League is not an easy game to learn, and it's not an easy game to master. And 3v3 is rough when you don't know them, and when you do know them, like it can be really frustrating. We're all in the same room, and just being able to give instructions as you go at like 7th, 8th grade is really kind of awesome to see. And then we tried 2v2. That league was awful. Like 2v2 is a very different game than a 3v3 Rocket League. Um, and all these kids were learning as the season went on. Like your first game could be terrible. Like, oh look, we found out one year we went against the #1 team from the previous year, game one,
Oh
and it was
no.
like 8-0, 7-0, 6-0, 3-match run. But we played them again at the end, and they did beat us, but it was a 2 matches to 1 versus 3 blowouts. And just
Ah.
seeing that was awesome because like when we went to the playoffs, we were the 64th seed versus the 1 seed, which is never a good match in the first place. But the fact that we had a different, like we had such an improvement, our kids could see it, and then the next year they were so excited for what they could do. And the same team stayed together for multiple years, which was good because then they could help each other. And you don't see that with a lot of sports. Like how many football and basketball teams in like middle school do you actually see the kids take over versus the coach taking over? It does happen. I'm not going to say it doesn't because it
Yeah.
definitely does, but it's not as common. And just seeing it kind of makes it all worth it. And so I recorded some of those matches like for the school board to see so that they can see what I was doing. And it
Mhm.
wasn't just a bunch of kids in a lab playing Valorant or Counter Strike or other things.
Right.
It was actually a team thing, and sometimes the principal would actually come in and just watch and be like, "I didn't know you could do this."
That's great. That what a great way to showcase that, because I absolutely agree. I think the being able to showcase that and being able to measure too, right? Like where the kids can actually see like the real progress, right? Because I think that's something we as gamers just intuit, we understand through all the games we play, like that sense of progression, right? That sense of leveling up. And it's so true that like that's one of the core, I think, like one of the needs of just people in general, right? It's just kind of the need to grow and change and get better at things, right? And what better way than in gaming where it's it can be very structured and very measurable to be like, look, you're making progress. This is fantastic. So
Yeah.
absolutely love that. And so wanted to make sure, did we cover so teamwork, we covered yeah, just kind of the sense of achievement, the sense of growth, the sense of progress. uh, Gosh, there's so many great things that I think that your activities are doing. Is there anything that we've missed, right? So what, I guess so many great things, but also, yeah, what else? I hate
So
to
not
ask it that
necessarily
way,
missed,
like what else is there, but I know there's so much.
not necessarily missed under that particular window, but there is one I'm going to plug. Since I work in mental health,
Mhm.
there is a doctor named Dr. Anthony Bean, and if people have heard of him, he's done like Legend of Zelda and therapy and psychology, Final Fantasy and psychology, Pokemon and psychology. I think was the newest one. But he does a website called Geek Therapeutics, which can train counselors to use video games and Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that in therapy to help people out. And there's courses in there. There's videos and webinars online about it. And he also has, his books, as I said, Legend of Zelda, Final Fantasy, Pokemon, and Psychology are all good, and they're very good at helping people see how useful these can be. And I'm not part of that in any way, but I'll definitely plug Dr. Anthony Bean's work because I think it's very good and very useful for now, especially when we gamify a lot of things. Um, but for some reason people are resistant to certain to they'll gamify it in a sports way but they won't gamify it in like Dungeon and Dragons type way, even though they
Yeah.
both have the similar effect. They just might not have as broad of competitive base.
Right, and that's one of the challenges I've noticed for especially companies, right? These corporations will start using gamification because they're starting to see the value, right? And so that's why I like to say as many times as I can, like for gamers and everybody listening, is that gaming has transcended just kind of that games itself, where companies are actually using gamification. They're using gameplay elements to actually drive behavior to help, whether it's helping, client or customer engagement to get more people interested, or even employee engagement, because there's a lot of big companies where the work, kind of like we said with the school and almost feeling like you're in a factory. It's like, well, what about the actual factories, right? Like, how fun is that going to be? But there's definitely companies that are implementing these just little tools, little tricks that use these gamification elements to make the work more engaging, more interesting, more fun, so that people will want to show up. So now you get paid to actually do something you enjoy, right, and want to do. So the gamification is just so powerful. So I wanted to reiterate to everybody listening too that, yeah, don't sleep on games, because it does way more than you think.
And even like, and even the concepts like role playing and so on helps, like in mental health, that can help a lot because it can put you in a mode to be able to share stuff that you don't want to share in your real skin, so to speak, but you can share it as that. Same sort of thing happens with play therapy and so on. For people that know, I won't go too deep into that stuff, but using action figures, comic books, superheroes to be able to share your experience without outright sharing it as you. And works as a layer of protection, but it also works to be able to help us do it, because if someone relates most with, say Fortnite, why not approach them on their level with Fortnite, even if it's a basic level, because they'll take you far more seriously than just dismissing it and going, why do you have a fish on your head? I don't understand what you're doing. And this coloring picture with, marshmallows, what the heck is going on? Um, you know, it creates a lot more openings and lets people be heard a lot more. And quite honestly, as we said before, it's a lot more fun to play games with the kids and talk with them about it than it is just to take life so seriously yourself, because we all need a little break.
Yeah, absolutely, completely agree. I think games, not in that context of, it's not only just a lot of people say like it's this escapism, right? And it absolutely is not. Like, you can use it for that for sure, but it's just, at the end of the day, it's just kind of, just enjoyment, right? So de-stress, like, just take a breath and actually just kind of enjoy your time, right? Just love it. It's fantastic. So guys, Jeremiah, this has been so much fun. And as we wind down this particular episode for Game Your Future, I just want to make sure and excuse me, ask any other question. Is there any other point, anything else that, just to reiterate, or if you had to distill it down into just even a few words, as far as like kind of the messages for those listening, what would you say?
I'll just say this. This is a soapbox I like to be on. How should I word it right? Let people enjoy what they enjoy, as long as it's legal. If someone's having fun, let them have fun. You don't have any right to tell them, no, how dare you enjoy that thing that I don't like? You should not enjoy it. Let them have their fun. If they're terrible at it and they're having fun, let them be terrible at it and have fun. Gaming is to relax, gaming is to have fun. And if that's what they like, let them like it. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to like that they like it, but let them like it. Life has enough rough patches already that we don't need to give them more by trying to make fun of someone or hurt someone for something they enjoy. Let them enjoy what they enjoy, and if you want to recommend something that they might enjoy more, do it, but don't do it by tearing down what they already like. You
Oh,
don't need that.
fantastic. Well, thank you, Jeremiah. So much fun. This has been fantastic. And before we go, I do have one final question for you. And it is the question I ask everybody on the podcast, which of course is, what is your favorite video game?
Oof. Um. Okay. Probably. Okay. I'll say the two that I put the most hours in, and I'll say the one I'm currently playing that I enjoy the most. So
Okay.
the two that I put the most hours in is probably StarCraft 2, which is cheating because it's 3 games, but StarCraft 2 and probably the Old Republic. because I keep going back to it, playing more stuff whenever they add new content. Usually, I go back every other year and be like, okay, there's like 150 more hours. Let's add to my stack, um, and do that. The one I'm playing right now, I'm playing East Nordics, which is an RPG. I've been waiting for years to play it, but when it came out a year and a half ago, they said they were going to do a special edition immediately with more content. I'm like, well, I'm going to wait then, so I don't have to buy it twice. And then they said it was a Switch 2 exclusive when it came out. And I went, I don't have a Switch 2, I have a PS5. So then I just ordered it the other day on Prime Day, and it arrived. And I might have stayed up way too late playing it yesterday. These
That's
old
always
bones
fun.
don't think that. And I'm going to go play it again in a little bit because it's just that I really like those games, and it's like comfort food and just fits straight in, and just I like it a lot.
Fantastic. Well, I don't know any better way to end there, and don't want to keep you from your gaming too. So guys, this has been Jeremiah Stewart, and this has been so much fun. Thank you again, Jeremiah. This is so much fun talking just games, gaming, and for those listening, again, if you are interested in using your gaming to kind of level up your own life, definitely check me out. dragonmorexp.com. Start your journey with me there today. So guys, thank you so much. Jeremiah, thank you again for being here. Everybody watching, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.